Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonnet, the owner and creator behind Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and in today's video, you are getting another Thrift 2 treasure. Going right back into all things holiday, went into my stash, grabbed some items, and we are flipping them in today's video. I cannot wait to hear what you guys all think. For project one, I had thrifted this horse quite a while ago. It was actually for my 40/40 challenge. And when I went to go price it, I dropped it and I broke the leg off. I about cried, you guys. I have been trying to figure out how I was going to fix this or what I was going to do with it. So in today's video, we are starting off by gluing back on the leg. I'm using Tite Bond, which is one of my favorite glues to use. It's Tite Bond Quick and Thick, and I am applying a bit to the base and some to both ends of the leg, and I am going to reattach this. What I also use is the blue tape. I am actually going to get it exactly how I want it, and as it dries, I'm going to wrap blue tape around it so it stays in place while it dries. Now that it's completely dry, I've removed the blue tape and it's ready for the next step. I decided I was going to paint it completely white. I think this is going to be a beautiful addition to both my holiday decor, or even after the holidays. It can seamlessly be put into another vignette within my home, or I am actually going to be selling this, so somebody else's home. And I am applying 2 even coats of Fusion Cashmere to the entire piece. And I let it dry in between coats. And it has beautiful coverage, no bleed through whatsoever. And after it dries, I am going to show you how I'm going to bring out all that beautiful detail of this rocking horse. To bring out all that beautiful detail, I am going to use both the clear wax from DIY Paint and the dark wax from DIY Paint. What I'm doing here first is I am applying a nice even coat of the clear wax to the entire piece. This is going to allow me to have better control over the dark wax. That way it's not going to be too dark, because I don't want this to be brown. I want to put that dark wax in all the details and then wipe away any of the excess and still have the horse or this little rocking horse be like that creamish white color. So by applying the clear wax, you have the ability to do that and work with the darker waxes much easier, and that holds true to the black wax and the white wax as well. Now I'm going to take a really fine tip brush and I am going to take that dark wax and just fill in all the areas that I want to add some depth. I really want to highlight, I guess, is a good way to put it. And I'm just going to go around first and apply the dark wax. Then I'm going to come back and I am going to wipe away any of the excess, and then go back a secondary time and do a lot more touch up and find areas that I wanted to pop a little bit more. But this is definitely the easiest way to really make all the details in a piece pop. Now I have some paper towel, and again, I am just wiping away any of the excess. And right now there's a lot of clear wax on here too. So by me rubbing and buffing this, it's taking away the excess of clear wax as well. And it's also taking away any of the extra dark wax. If there is an area where there's too much dark wax, just take a little clear wax on your paper towel, wipe in that area, and it will eliminate or remove the excess of dark wax. Now I'm going back and I am just adding a little bit of dark wax here and there, just really making all those details pop. And I am loving this, you guys. I think this looks so good. The one thing too is there's not a lot of detail on the legs or actually on the rockers, but I don't want it to look two-toned where the top looks like it has a bit of wax and the feet or like the rockers and the legs do not. So I am going to go and make sure that I touch those areas also. Just add a little bit, wipe some wax here and there, and then wipe away the excess so it all blends beautifully. I am loving how this is all turned out, and really with just a little paint to cover up the imperfections and then the wax to bring out all that beautiful detail, this project is complete. For project 2, anytime I'm out thrifting and I see a little footstool, I am always grabbing them. You can obviously tell this was Ella's little footstool, and it is a multicolored. I am definitely going to be painting this. I am using Fusion's Highlander, and this is a beautiful, rich, deep red. Now, the one thing I noticed about Fusion lids is when you first get the can, or the jar, it is very, very tightly on. And I used the Pampered Chef jar opener. It's perfect. It fits perfect, and you give it one little push and it pops right open. So I am applying 2 even coats of this beautiful red to the entire piece. I am going to let it dry very thoroughly, and then we're going to come back and we are going to add some beautiful detail to make this footstool absolutely pop. I am going to use Christmas Valley, which is the IOD transfer from last year's holiday release. If you watched my live on Thursday, you'll know that I am really trying to work through all my crafting supplies, like all the things that I have opened. I'm just going to try to use as much of that up. And I had chunks of this transfer still left over from last year, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to use it. And I know that you probably can't get your hands on this year, but some of you may still have it in your stash. Otherwise, just take some inspiration from this and think about a different transfer that you could apply or different wording. So just get inspiration from the project. Now, if you haven't used the IOD transfers before, it's super easy. The key here is just make sure whatever you're applying the transfer to is completely dry, and you lay down, you peel off that back sheet, lay your transfer down, and then use that transfer stick and just start rubbing on one side. And as you can see, I'm holding that transfer page and I just start pulling it up as I'm rubbing, and it comes right off. After I get done with that, and you can see the little foot, he kind of tore off. Just reapply it and lay it right back down and rub, and you'll never know that a piece of that transfer did not apply. I then take that backing and I burnish it, is what it's called, where you take that backing and you really rub your transfer and embed it in your project. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the wording. I am just going to pull that backing off and lay it down. Basically, make sure it's exactly where you want it. Lay it down and then just rub the wording. Anytime that you do apply a transfer, you do want to seal it, and I am using Big Top from DIY Paint, and I am going to apply a nice even coat of Big Top to the entire piece. And yes, Fusion does have a top coat built in, but again, because we applied a transfer to the paint or to this project, we do want to apply the top coat. So I'm going to let this dry and this project will be finished. but it isn't because I got a bug up my butt and I wanted to distress just the edges of the legs. So I took my hand sander and I just went around and distressed here and there all over the base. For project 3, I recently thrifted these at the Goodwill bins and they caught my eye because they were so cool looking, very different in color, but the shape was the same. So I am using Fusion's metallic paint called Copper, and I decided this is going to be just a real easy flip. I am going to apply 2 even coats of the copper metallic paint to these, and I think they are going to look absolutely amazing in any of the holiday displays. You can, tuck them into a vignette. I mean, if you even had super tall ceilings, I'm sure that this could be a tree topper even, but I think it would look very cool, like on a buffet, and just tucked in with some greenery. Or you could even set them on a candlestick or a candelabra. So I'm just applying 2 even coats of the metallic paint. And really, that's all I did to these, and it completely transformed the total look and feel of these really cool Christmas, I don't even know what to call them, but they're very, very cool, like maybe tree toppers. For project 4, I thrifted these beautiful decorative balls a while ago. I loved all that detail in the center. I knew that I wanted to paint them. I just didn't know what color. I finally settled on a neutral palette. From Monday's video, I went with a lot of neutrals, and that is where this video is kind of going to, some neutrals with pops of red. And I am applying 2 even coats of cashmere to all 4 of the balls. I'm going to let them dry very thoroughly, and then we're going to come back and we're going to bring out all that beautiful detail. Just like on Monday's video, I am using the DIY's gold gilding wax called the Golden Ticket, and I am just using my brush and I am going to really embed it in all that detail, rub it in, and then take a piece of paper towel and rub away any of the excess. Again, this was a real simple project. Basically, paint it, apply a bit of wax to bring out all that beautiful detail, and do that to all 4. And this project is done, and it's completely transformed the look and feel of these beautiful ornate balls. For project 5, I recently thrifted this copper tea kettle, and honestly, it's supposed to look like copper or have that feel. It's very worn and aged, and so I am going to bring back all that beautiful copper detail with Fusion's metallic paint called Copper. There are 10 different metallic paints, and they range from different shades of copper, silver, and gold. So I'm applying 2 even coats of the copper to the handles and to the entire base, and really it's really bringing that look and feel back, and it really looks like copper. I love it. Now that it's dry, I'm looking it over. I'm feeling like it needs something. And I decided to add a transfer to the front. So I went back into my Christmas Valley scrap pieces and I found this piece. I decided to cut it apart, that transfer, and make it fit the front of this teapot. So I just kind of cut randomly to make it look like it's not perfectly square on that one side, and then we're going to apply it. Anytime you're working with a non-flat surface, so this is rounded, you do have to work in sections. So I always start on one side, either on the bottom or the top, or I always like hold it in the center and work my way around so that the transfer applies as even as possible. There is always going to be one little chunk that might overlap or lay kind of funny, but overall, the look is exactly how I wanted it. Now the transfer's on, I am sealing the entire piece with Big Top. You typically only have to seal your transfer, but I want the piece to have that same look all the way around, so I am sealing the entire piece with Big Top. For my 6th and final project, this project was actually intended for Monday's video, but after I painted it, I realized I did not have any foam or that styrofoam to go inside to hold the tree, so it got pushed to the side, and as I was wrapping this video up, I'm like, we're going to include it in here. It really fits with the entire vignette. So what I did is I applied 2 even coats of cashmere, which is a fusion paint, to the entire piece. I let it dry very thoroughly in between coats. And then we're going to take it and we are going to decorate it all up. When I was at the craft store, I grabbed some of that foam, and then now my vision from Monday to today has completely changed. I decided to pick a different tree that I'd gotten at the dollar store. This one was very cool because it had white on top and the green on the bottom, and I am taking off the base. So I am just holding it with one of my pliers and removing the base. And that way, once I get that foam inside of the container, I can then take this tree and just push it right down into the foam. Now, after I open it up, I am just going to take a knife and just cut off a chunk of the foam that I think I'm going to need. And initially, I tried to glue this down or in here with Titebond. I had to then realize that the inside of the container is kind of beveled. It's not completely flat, so the piece or the chunk did not sit directly on the bottom. What I had to do is finagle a little piece on the bottom, and then I glued chunks together. Now that it completely dried, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of White Swan from DIY Paint, and then a bit of the paint frosting from DIY as well. It is a thickening agent, and it actually makes it look like frosting or snow. So I just add a little bit, and like I said, this is a thickening agent. It actually thickened up pretty quick, so I was able to apply it right away. It does say to wait a little bit as it thickens, but this actually thickened up pretty quick. So after I stirred it all together, I let it sit for just a little, and then what I am going to do is apply it to the very top of the container. I want to hide that green foam, and I want to make it look like it's a winter wonderland. What I did is I applied an even layer over the entire piece, and then I took that little, well, the transfer stick is what I'm using, and I kind of made little I kind of made it look like snow or drifts of snow kind of. I just kind of took it, and it's kind of cool how you can finagle it to make it have different texture. So I did that. I'm going to then set this aside, let it dry a bit, and then we're going to insert the Christmas tree. Now that it's semi-dry, I'm taking that Christmas tree, finding the center, and then inserting it. Now I'm going to make sure this is completely dry before I put it in my booth. I would say like within 24 hours, it will be completely dry. I hope you were inspired to go out and start working on your own holiday decor. Keep in mind, some of the items don't have to be all over the top holiday-ish. Like that horse, you guys, the rocking horse, he was one of my favorites. I thrifted him ages ago, and he fell and his leg broke. I'm like, he is not a lost cause. I am going to do something completely different. And I glued them back together. We gave him a paint job. I think really it set off all of that beautiful detail, and he by far was one of my favorite projects today. So I'm having a ton of fun playing around with Fusion. As many of you know from the last video, I am now stocking Fusion. I have all the paints listed. I also have the paints in my Yield Goat booth with everything that they sent me, along with the milk paint. This weekend I'm gonna work on listing the milk paint and all the top coats and all that good stuff. It's just very time consuming, plus I'm extremely busy. So, and on top of it, I'm getting a cold, or I had a cold for like a week. I have to kick it. I've been taking Emergen-C, vitamin D, trying to get extra sleep, which is not that hard right now because I'm completely exhausted from this. But with that said, you guys have yourselves a great weekend, and we will see you Monday. Not sure yet what you're gonna get, but I will come up with something over the weekend. All right, have a great weekend. Bye.